The study of economic development is one of the most important fields of economic science, either because of the interest in trying to explain why some countries have evolved more than others, or because of the effort to define which strategies and policies are essential for the economic rise of countries. Of course, these points certainly apply to the case of Malaysia, a country on the Asian continent that is heading towards prosperity so fast that it could soon become a superpower. Welcome to the Swift Economy channel, and in this video you will understand how Malaysia can become a mega power. With a territorial extension of 329,749 square kilometers, in Southeast Asia, Malaysia's territory is divided into two large areas: the southern continental part of the Malaysian peninsula and adjacent islands, and one in the north of the island of Borneo. The country's climate is hot and humid and its territory is covered by tropical forests. The country showed great economic development during the 1990s. This process was driven by intense industrialization, a fact that gave the country a highlight on the world stage, being considered one of the new Tigers Asians. All this economic development has provided the country with an increase in socio-economic indicators. The development index is considered high, and illiteracy is in constant decline, and currently affects only 8.1% of the population. The infant mortality rate is 9 deaths per 1,000 live births. A negative social aspect is the severe restrictions on freedom of organization and expression. Between 2024 and 2028, the World Bank reported that Malaysia had become a developed country, reflecting the extraordinary economic trajectory that the country has gone through in recent decades, with one of the highest growth rates in all of Asia, with a GDP per capita of 11,200 today. How has Malaysia grown so much? Malaysia was for a long time a British colony, and its economy was built around rubber production and mining. 93% of the British capital invested in the colony had intuited to develop an infrastructure aimed at rubber plantations and mine production. This ended up making Malaysia a major producer of these natural resources but also a major importer of industrialized products. However, at the beginning of these economic processes and developments, there was a great social inequality among the population of Malaysia. The great migration of Chinese and Indians happened due to the great investment and incentives that the government offered to these immigrants to work in the areas of mining and commerce, while the Malay population itself ended up working in the agriculture fields. What ended up generating enormous inequality between these social groups and, therefore, until 1960, the poverty rate among Malays was triple when compared to the Chinese and Indian population in the country. Thus, one of the first measures implemented by his government after its independence, in 1957, was the New Economic Policy, NEP, which aimed to reduce this inequality and the dependence on foreign nations that controlled their private sector, with this free education and education. Professional training was given to the population and companies were required to have at least 25% of their workforce and 30% of their shareholdings owned by Malaysian citizens. This was just some of the various incentives that the government implemented after its independence. According to an HSBC report in 2012, Malaysia will become the 21st largest economy in the world by 2050. The report also says that the producer of electronic equipment, oil and liquefied natural gas will see a substantial increase in per capita income. Malaysia's life expectancy, relatively high level of education and above-average fertility rate will help in its rapid expansion. Malaysia certainly has positive and extremely favorable points to become a developed nation. Tourism also greatly favors the country's income, with Malaysia being the 13th most visited country in the world, with 25.8 million international tourists. Revenues from tourism are around more than $19.1 billion. The country's livestock sector is also not lagging behind. Malaysia produced, in 2019, 1.6 million tons of chicken meat, 225,000 tons of pork, 833,000 tons of chicken eggs, among others. Malaysia faced problems that delayed its development, such as lack of investment in technology, which was around 1% of its GDP. Unlike countries like South Korea and Japan that followed the opposite path and advanced in an absurdly high way with much greater investments, but now Malaysia is managing to escape this middle-income trap. Currently, the country has been making large investments in various sectors such as research and development and, in this way, Malaysia has been able to grow quickly and gradually overcome the productivity problem. There is no doubt that Malaysia's economic growth is a good source. Analysis for formulating a development strategy to be followed by other rising or developing countries. And for sure, Malaysia will still surprise the world as a superpower, if the country continues on the correct and enviable path that the country is following. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel to continue receiving our daily videos. Thank you so much for watching this far. A big hug and until the next video.